Turn 2, Andretti hairpin, second gear. There are two ways to set up for the braking zone for T2. The first is to move over to driver's right early and make sure the car is in a perfect straight line right before the braking zone. I don't like this method since I feel it requires you to make too much of a lateral move and to scrub too much of your top end speed at the fastest point of the track. Instead, I prefer to continue my arc through T1, get the car in a mostly neutral state right before I begin my braking about a car length before the 3 line. Aim for the right edge of the first inside curb and threshold brake as hard as possible. The left front is very light on approach and will lock easily. Avoid locking it though, as that will send you too deep in the corner. It's preferable to start your braking sooner and roll the last bit of the braking zone than to go deep into turn 2. When about halfway between the 1 board and the end of the concrete runoff on the right, start to turn and begin trailing off of the brake. The first apex is about the midpoint between the red inner curb and the end of the ripple strip. As you approach apex 1, begin to throttle steer the car through to the second apex. You should be at full power or nearly there when you get to the second apex at the red curb. Hold your arc through the track out and aim the car at the 3 board for turn 3. Turn 3, third gear. This is an important corner as it begins the run up to the second fastest point of the track. It's also a tighter than 90-degree corner with 2 radii, the second being tighter than the first. As you approach the 4 board, begin an arc that will have you in a mostly straight line in steady state by the 2 board. Brush brake and trail it to get some rotation. You can see I started my rotation early enough that I had to bail out of the throttle to keep from cutting the corner. Try to just kiss the red curb and use all of the exit curbing. If you think you're going to drop a wheel, abort the exit, straighten the car, run 4 off, and recover safely. A dropped wheel is a sure guarantee of a spin into the inside wall here. Turn 4, fourth gear. Use all the curb on entry. Turn in flat, and then smoothly come off of the throttle to induce enough trailing throttle oversteer to eliminate the power on understeer. Apex just after the red curb. Turn 5, third gear. Use all the curb on entry. Brake just after the 2.5 line. Turn in before the curb ends. Dropping a wheel here results in an embarrassing spin on entry. The track slopes from right to left before it begins the climb up the hill, so the car will begin to understeer shortly after turn in all the way to exit. Try to induce some rotation at the beginning of the corner so that you don't push your way through the corner. The apex is right before the ripple strip ends. Turn 6, fourth gear. Use all the curb on entry. Just before the 2 board, come smoothly off the throttle to about 10 to 20% power, then smoothly turn in. Abrupt inputs here will cause you to spin. After turn in, begin increasing the throttle all the way to apex. Minimize your inputs at the Rahal straight. Turn 7. Use all the curb on the left. As the curb ends, aim for a point just to the left of the 3 board at the top of the hill. The Corkscrew, turns 8 and 8A, second gear. Begin threshold braking at the 3 board. Decrease your braking as the car clears the crest, and then roll back on as much as possible. Trail brake through turn in. As you apex on the final radius of the inside curbing, return to full power. Aim at the 3rd tree from the left, the lone tree, and when the car is pointed at it, begin your turn in to the right, up to 3rd gear, and don't track out to more than midway of the track. Turn 9, Rainey curve, 4th gear. If you don't know, this corner is named after Wayne Rainey, a native Californian who went on to become a 3-time world champion motorcycle racer before being paralyzed during the 1993 Italian Grand Prix. His titanic battles with fellow American Kevin Schwantz are the stuff of legend, and I'm glad I got to watch some of Rainey's racing. The corner itself is possibly the scariest, most fear-inducing, high pucker factor corner in all of racing. It's a blind, long, steep, downhill, decreasing radius corner with constant camber changes. Shift into 4th before you neutral out the car. Begin turning in and smoothly coming off the throttle. The car is prone to oversteer in the first part before trying to move to gross understeer in the second half. Return to full power before apex and hang on for the ride. Turn 10, fourth gear. Get the car in neutral, go to about half brake just after the 2 board, then turn in. There's quite a bit of camber at apex through almost track out, so the car will understeer in the second half. Rotation before apex is really helpful here. Full power before apex. There are some white tires in the tire wall on the left on track out, and they make a good visual reference point for track out. Turn 11, second gear. This classic slow in, fast out corner is the most important corner on the track as it leads onto the fastest straightaway. Have the car neutral before the 2 board and threshold brake at the 2 board. A little trail braking to help rotate the car at turn in really helps. You can see that I had to correct for my early turn in. You should be at full power before apex.